Every neighborhood has that one person everyone watches. On Elm Street, it was Arthur Pendleton. He kept to himself, and the neighbors whispered, "Did you see what Arthur's doing now?" They called him Crazy Arthur. The name stuck. People judge what they don't understand. All they saw was a mess. But Arthur was building a dream, piece by piece. The truth is, you never know what someone's building, until it's finished. And Arthur, he was building something unforgettable. Arthur Pendleton wasn't complicated. He was a widower, missing his wife Eleanor, the light of his life. After she passed, the house felt empty. Then one day, he found an old drawing, a dream he and Eleanor once shared. He wasn't crazy. He was grieving. He was building a memorial, a promise. Every morning, Arthur gathered discarded wood, stones, and glass bottles. To his neighbors, it was trash. To Arthur, it was treasure. The name Crazy Arthur hurt, but he remembered Eleanor's words. "You make it beautiful. Even after loss, you can build something beautiful." Arthur was building hope. So, what did the neighbors see? Out their windows, Arthur, late 60s, digging winding trenches in his yard. Not straight lines, but looping paths. Then, thick plastic sheeting. Mrs. Gable thought he was building a bunker. Theories spread. Doomsday prepper. Secret project. Next came the pipes. Old PVC, cut and fitted, laid in the trenches. Pipes stuck up at odd angles. Mr. Henderson, the plumber, laughed. Whatever he's building, it ain't gonna hold water. Then came the rocks, truckloads of riverstones, carefully placed around trenches and pipes. Strange lumpy mounds appeared. Then, reclaimed barnwood, an arching structure in the middle. It didn't look like a shed or a gazebo, just weird. To the neighbors, it was chaos. A construction site of confusion. No clear shape, no obvious purpose. Just dirt, plastic, pipes, rocks, and wood. They saw an eyesore, their property values dropping, a man breaking the rules of suburban tidiness. They couldn't see the vision. All they saw was a crazy old man making a crazy old mess, and they were getting tired of it. The more Arthur built, the more the neighborhood judged. But Arthur kept going, undeterred. Because he knew what they didn't. Every piece had a place. And soon, the chaos would become something beautiful. They just had to wait and see. The talk got louder. Whispers turned to open jokes at the block party. "Crazy Arthur's building a monument to junk," someone laughed. The crowd joined in. Making fun of Arthur became a neighborhood pastime. Kids rode by shouting, "What you building, Mr. Crazy Man?" Teenagers tossed trash into his yard. It wore Arthur down, but he never stopped. Mrs. Gable tried to get the homeowners association involved. "His yard is an eyesore. We have to do something." She passed around photos like evidence. Some neighbors agreed, ready to sign a petition, but the association president said, "He's not breaking any codes. Let's wait and see." Mrs. Gable was furious, but had to back down. The community was divided. Most laughed and judged, a few felt pity. But not one person asked Arthur, "What are you building?" They just assumed the worst. Arthur kept working, alone. The laughter stung, but his purpose was stronger. Sometimes, the loudest voices are the most wrong. And Arthur was about to prove it. Through all the jokes and whispers, Arthur kept working. He had quiet confidence, the kind that comes from knowing your purpose. He didn't need their approval. He had Eleanor's. His days fell into a rhythm. Wake up, work, repeat. His hands grew calloused, his back sore. But he kept building. Setbacks came. A leaking pipe, a collapsed wall, muddy trenches. Any other person might have quit. Not Arthur. Every setback was a test of his commitment and love for Eleanor. He learned new skills. Masonry, plumbing, landscape design. He discovered he was an artist, an engineer, a creator. The project became a monument to his resilience. He was proving to himself he could still create beauty. He was quiet, but strong. Alone, but not lonely. Surrounded by the spirit of his dream, he just kept building. The neighbors saw stubbornness. Arthur saw devotion. He found joy in the process, even when it was hard, because he knew what the finished garden would mean. And he wasn't building for them. He was building for love. Then, one spring morning, the hammering stopped. The neighborhood fell quiet. For days, no one saw Arthur. Did he give up? Mrs. Gable wondered. But on Saturday, Arthur delivered handwritten invitations. Please join me in my backyard this evening at sunset. Arthur. Curiosity won. The whole block showed up expecting a mess. But the mess was gone. What they saw made them stop in their tracks. Arthur's backyard was transformed, a paradise. The winding trenches were now flowing streams. The pipes, a hidden irrigation and waterfall system. The rocks became waterfalls and planters. The wooden arch, a charming bridge. Flowers and lush plants bloomed everywhere. It was a breathtaking Japanese-style water garden. Streams flowed into a clear pond with koi fish. Waterfalls created soothing music. Hidden lights glowed as the sun set. It wasn't a junkyard, it was a masterpiece. The work of an artist, not a madman. They hadn't watched a man lose his mind. They'd watched him build heaven on earth. The laughter and whispers vanished. In their place, awe. Arthur's vision was finally clear, and the neighborhood would never be the same. Sometimes the greatest beauty comes from the most misunderstood places, and Arthur's garden was proof. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the waterfalls filled the air. The neighbors looked at the garden, then at Arthur, finally seeing him for who he was. Not crazy Arthur, but Arthur the artist, the loving husband. Mrs. Gable, usually the loudest, was speechless, her face red with shame. She remembered her words, her actions, and felt the weight of her judgment. Mr. Henderson, the plumber, examined the waterfalls, realizing the genius behind the pipes he'd mocked. He felt small, humbled by Arthur's vision. The silence broke when a little girl whispered, "It's magical." That word broke the spell. What Arthur had created was magical, a place of peace and beauty. It was the opposite of everything they'd accused him of. The garden was a quiet rebuke to all their noise and laughter. They hadn't just misjudged a project, they'd misjudged a man's soul. In that silence, the neighborhood learned a lesson. Sometimes, the most beautiful things grow from misunderstanding, and sometimes, silence speaks louder than words. The next day, the apology tour began. Mr. Henderson crossed the street, head bowed. "Arthur, I was wrong. What you built is incredible. I hope you can forgive me." Arthur smiled. "There's nothing to forgive. Come see how the pump system works." One by one, neighbors came, bearing gifts, offering apologies. "We're so sorry, Arthur. We had no idea. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." They tried to explain, but there was no excuse for their behavior. Even Mrs. Gable came, trembling, holding a potted orchid. "I've been awful. I led the charge against you. I'm so sorry." Arthur took the orchid. "Eleanor would have loved this. Thank you, Martha. Come sit by the pond a while." Arthur held no grudges. He accepted their apologies with grace. He understood they'd learned their lesson. The garden became a gathering spot. Neighbors sat on benches, enjoying the peace. They stopped calling him Crazy Arthur. Now, they called him Arthur the artist, Arthur the friend. He hadn't just built a garden, he'd rebuilt a community. The neighborhood was changed not by force but by beauty and forgiveness. Arthur's garden became a symbol of hope, and the neighbors learned that sometimes the person you judge most harshly is the one who brings you together. Respect replaced ridicule, admiration replaced laughter. Arthur's dream had bloomed, and so had the neighborhood. Sometimes it takes one person's vision to open everyone's eyes, and Arthur's vision had done just that. The garden was more than a tribute, it was a new beginning. Elm Street would never forget the lesson, and neither would Arthur. So, what's the lesson? Don't let other people's opinions define your reality. People will judge what they don't understand. They'll laugh at anything different, but you can't let that noise get in your head. Your dream is yours. It might look like junk to others, but you know what it can be. Keep your head down. Keep building. Their opinion is just a distraction. Don't let someone who gave up on their dreams talk you out of yours, and don't be so quick to judge others. The person you're whispering about might be building something beautiful. Before you criticize, try understanding. Offer a helping hand, not a hurtful opinion. Give people space to create, to be different. You might be surprised by the magic they make. In the end, Arthur got his peace, his garden, and the respect of his neighbors. He proved that dedication and heart can triumph over doubt and ridicule. He taught a lesson about perseverance and kindness. So whatever your project is, don't stop. Let them watch. Let them talk. Let them laugh. You just keep building. One day when your garden blooms, they'll be the ones asking for an invitation.